Good morning, friends. CPE topic for this week is insomnia disorder and management strategies. Sleep disturbances or sleeplessness have become increasingly common during COVID-19 pandemic, owing to changes in work schedules, travel, and exercise routines. As a frontline profession in the pandemic, it is important that we pharmacists are able to understand how sleep disturbances should be managed by using pharmacological and non-pharmacological management and how to best counsel patients in this regard. Before going to see the management strategies of insomnia disorders, first let me see what is insomnia, types of insomnia, causes and complications of insomnia. Insomnia is defined as difficulty initiating or maintaining sleep or both. Despite adequate opportunity and time to sleep, this leading to impaired daytime functioning may be also due to poor quality of sleep or quantity of sleep. Insomnia affects people of all ages including children, although it is more common in adults and its frequency increases with age. In general, women are affected more frequently than men. And coming to the types of insomnia, there are three types: transient insomnia, acute insomnia, and chronic insomnia. What is transient insomnia? This occurs mainly due to extraneous factors, noise, shift work or jet lag, etc. This occurs when symptoms last from few days to some weeks. And acute insomnia is otherwise called short-term insomnia. It's mainly due to emotional problems, medical illness, etc. The symptoms persist for several weeks. And coming to chronic insomnia, the symptoms last for at least months and sometimes years, mainly due to psychiatric disorders. And coming to the causes of insomnia, routine poor sleep and lifestyle habits, use some medication and drug abuse substances, physical, social and mental health issues. We'll see one by one. Poor sleep and lifestyle habits are sleep in different time at bedtime, poor sleeping environment, working in the night shifts, not get enough exercise or vigorous exercise before bedtime, keeping media technology in the bedroom like TV, telephone or home theater, other factors like nap during the day and do not have wind down period before bedtime, and other substances use some medication and drug abuse substances, drinking alcohol, other drug abuse substances, heavy cigarette smoking, too much caffeine also causes the insomnia. And physical, social, health and mental issues, anxiety disorder, bipolar disorder, feeling of sad or depressed, mood disorders, physical pain or discomfort, stress such as bereavement and problems in the family, workplace, financial difficulties, and also certain medical or health conditions causes insomnia: angina, heart failure, COPD, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, hyperactive thyroid, arthritis, urinary incontinence, enlarged prostate, restless leg syndrome, sleep apnea, snoring, all other some health conditions causes insomnia. And also some medications causes insomnia as side effects like anticonvulsants, antidepressants, beta blockers, NSAIDs, steroid medications, asthmatic medications like salbutamol, salmeterol or theophylline, and drugs used in the treatment of attention deficit hyperactivity disorders These are the some medicines which causes insomnia as side effect. What are the complications of insomnia are psychological complications like slower performance, slow reaction time, risk of depression, risk of anxiety, and also risk of poor immune system function, and risk of high blood pressure, obesity, heart disease, and risk of diabetes are the complications of insomnia. And what are the ways to diagnose insomnia are medical history taking sleep history, and also doing physical examination and sleep study. These are the some ways to diagnose insomnia. And coming to the treatment and management strategies for insomnia is divided into non-pharmacological management strategy and pharmacotherapy management strategies. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia is coming under non-pharmacological therapy. And what is cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia? So, all patients living with insomnia should be offered CBT for insomnia related advice about sleep. So, CBT therapy for insomnia usually consists of 4 to 8 sessions, average 6 sessions once per week, and can be delivered individually or in group setting, can be face to face or over the phone or using website and app. High success rate have been reported from these sessions in UK. And NICE, National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, and the British Association for Psychopharmacology recommends CBT therapy is first line treatment for chronic insomnia. The effectiveness of CBT alone in treating long term insomnia is superior to that of hypnotics, but the best treatment outcomes are seen in CBT plus hypnotic combination. And CBT therapy consists of 5 techniques of practice, 4 behavioral therapy and 1 cognitive therapy practice. This 5 technique promoted as a part of CBT for insomnia that aim to help patient manage their condition long term. And what are the techniques involved in the practice of CBT therapy are sleep education and hygiene, stimulus control, psychoeducation and relaxation strategies, sleep scheduling, cognitive therapy. And what is sleep education and hygiene? This first technique involves the managing expectations of normal sleep. For example, nighttime waking or decreased sleep need with increased age. This sleep education advice focus on providing information on these potential sleep disruptors like diet, exercise, substance use, daily routine, sleep environment. So, these sleep disruptors should be avoided by avoiding large meals before bedtime, avoiding vigorous exercise before bedtime, avoiding using caffeine, alcohol, nicotine before bedtime, and establishing consistent bedtime routines, and providing peaceful sleep environment in the bedroom by reducing light, noise and temperature in the bedroom. And coming to the second one, stimulus control. This stage aims to reinforce psychological association between bed and sleep and breaking psychological associations between bed and wakefulness. For example, patients are advised that should only get into bed when sleepy and get out of bed if they are unable to sleep. To only use the bedroom for sleep, sex and getting rest. And coming to the third one, psychoeducation and relaxation strategies. can create wind down period before bed by doing progressive muscle relaxation and meditation. This wind down period is used to relieve body tension and thoughts that could interfere with sleep. And other relaxation strategies are listening to music, reading books, or following self care routines. And coming to the fourth one, sleep scheduling is principle focuses on organizing sleep, including setting times for waking and getting out of bed. Also highlights the need to go to bed when feeling tired, not at a set time. This is typically carried out by the sleep specialist by providing sleep diary, etc., and keep the same schedule every day, including weekends and holidays. And finally, the fifth one, cognitive therapy, addressing or addressing factors or knowing or learning factors perpetuating insomnia can be also effective methods to improve sleep, that is routines before bedtime and discussing paradoxical intention, that is the harder you try to fall asleep, the more difficult it becomes to sleep. Patients should be encouraged not to try to sleep and manage expectations at bedtime. Explaining sleep habits and hygiene may be effective in treating mild short-term insomnia. And if CBT therapy for insomnia have been tried, but the significant distress and daytime symptoms persist with the patient, pharmacological treatment can be considered. If insomnia is caused by short-term stresses such as bereavement, this will resolve quickly, but a short course of Z-drugs like zolpidem can be considered for 3 to 7 days. Hypnotics are effective in the treatment of short-term insomnia and provide symptomatic relief, but are only licensed for short-term use. And evidence shows that CBT therapy for insomnia is equally effective when compared with hypnotics in short-term treatment of insomnia. CBT therapy for insomnia preferred over hypnotics for maintaining sleep improvement. Some evidence that shows that the best treatment option for insomnia is a course of CBT therapy in combination with a course of hypnotics, and CBT therapy can potentially lead to reduce the prescribing hypnotic medicine. And CBT therapy is not suitable for everyone. For example, it is inappropriate for severe insomnia patients with acute episode of mania or psychosis, because sleep deprivation can worsen outcomes in manic relapse or an episode of psychosis. Patients already taking hypnotics who start to experience further sleep disturbances should have CBT therapy along with existing hypnotic medicines. As sleep efficiency increases, hypnotic dose can be reduced, but CBT therapy for insomnia can be repeated until the hypnotic has been completely withdrawn. CBT therapy should be offered as first-line treatment for long-term insomnia disorder. If it is ineffective or unavailable, or patients urgently need immediate improvement in their sleep, hypnotic should be offered along with CBT therapy. And patient should be reviewed after CBT therapy completion, and patient should be reviewed every 4 weeks if the patient using hypnotics. And coming to pharmacotherapy, FDA approved prescription drugs for the treatment of insomnia are benzodiazepine, non-benzodiazepine, orexin receptor antagonist, melatonin antidepressants. Here only non-benzodiazepine drug zolpidem, melatonin and antidepressants like mirtazapine available in our hospital. And benzodiazepine and Z group of drugs, otherwise called non-benzodiazepines, we pharmacists should understand how these medicines work and be able to effectively counsel patients on their use. So the brain arousal system is governed by activating neurotransmitters like norepinephrine, serotonin, acetylcholine, dopamine, histamine, glutamate, orexin. This promotes wakefulness. Sedating inhibitory neurotransmitters like GABA and adenosine, this inhibitory neurotransmitter promotes sleep. Both these groups form the basis of hypnotic medicines. Benzodiazepine and non-benzodiazepine, otherwise called Z group of drugs, zolpidem, zopiclone, both increases the effect of GABA at GABA A receptors and making GABA pumps, that is GABA positive allosteric modulators. This produce hypnotic, anxiolytic, myorelaxant and anticonvulsant properties. And temazepam, short half-life benzodiazepine, used for the acute episodes of insomnia at a starting dose of 10 mg before bedtime. This is not available in our hospital, it is available abroad. And Z drugs like zolpidem is available in our hospital, and adult dose is starting dose of 10 mg HSOD up to 4 weeks, and for elderly and hepatic impairment 5 mg HSOD. The brand name available in our hospital is SAV 5 mg and 10 mg tablet. Zolpidem is shorter half-life than zopiclone, so sleep maintenance is the problematic, and the zolpidem is less likely to cause a hangover effect than zopiclone. What is hangover effect? Feeling of sedation a day following dose of hypnotics. And that group of drugs generally more acceptable side effect profile than benzodiazepine. So NICE recommends this for the shortest duration at the lowest dose that controls symptoms for insomnia. And coming to the method of administration point of view, this zolpidem should be taken immediately before bedtime due to rapid onset action, and do not take with or immediately after meals because food delay the onset of action. And long-term use of longer off-life benzodiazepine like flurazepam, nitrazepam, diazepam drugs can cause increased anxiety and false risk, worsen sleep and depression. This is inappropriate for the treatment of insomnia disorder. These drugs in overdose leads to addiction and dependence. So epidemiological data shows increased road traffic accident and fracture and false risk with this benzodiazepine. We pharmacists should counsel the patient regarding driving legislations like do not drive or do not operate heavy machinery and all. And coming to melatonin, in response to the darkness, the pineal gland causes a rise in endogenous hormone melatonin. The released hormone binds to the melatonin 1 and melatonin 2 receptor in the hypothalamus, creating feeling of sleepiness, and also resynchronizing the circadian clock, which is responsible for normal sleep-wake cycle. During aging, this endogenous melatonin decreases can precipitate the sleep problem in old age people. Some evidence shows that exogenous melatonin is useful in correcting the circadian rhythms to reinstate a normal sleep-wake cycle. But Cochrane view stated that there is no evidence, the evidence is very low quality. And melatonin is indicated for sleep onset insomnia, delayed sleep phase syndrome under specialist supervision. And brand name available in our hospital, Melocet 3 mg and Sereptrunab 3 mg per 5 ml 60 ml available, and dose is 3 mg daily before desired bedtime for 1 to 2 weeks. and dose can be increased to 4.5 to 6 milligram according to the response, maximum 10 milligram per day. And this use of melatonin is licensed for the short term treatment of insomnia for up to 13 weeks in patient aged over 55 years, and it is not routinely recommended. And counseling point of view, the with immediate release formulation should be taken on an empty stomach, with the modified release formulations of melatonin should be taken with food, but the modified release tablets currently not available in our hospital, it's available abroad. Beta blockers and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs inhibit the secretion of endogenous melatonin, sometimes leads to sleep disturbances. So the patient taking these medicines benefit from the use of melatonin. And coming to antidepressants, currently licensed for the use of treating depression. SSRI selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors like citalopram, escitalopram, sertraline, fluoxetine, and SNRI selective norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors, venlafaxine, can be stimulating or consequently worsen insomnia. So the patients should be counseled to take these medicines in the morning. Other sedative antidepressants like amitriptyline and low dose mirtazapine 15 milligram HSOD, above 30 milligram it is less sedating. Both these drugs have an antihistaminic effect and create a feeling of drowsiness. In practice, these drugs often given at night to assist with sleep onset. Amitriptyline is not licensed for insomnia. The Cochrane review found that 2018 no evidence for its use in insomnia. Despite this a considerable side effect profile, it is the third most preferred drug for the treatment of insomnia by general practitioners, so this should be avoided. And sedative antidepressants more likely to be lethal in overdose and may be dangerous. If pharmacists identify the inappropriate use of this antidepressant to treat insomnia, should discuss this with patient and attempt to speak to the prescriber to request a review of prescription within 4 weeks, and also to recommend alternative therapies like CBT for insomnia to improve sleep. Antidepressants, however, consider where the insomnia patient is comorbidity with depression or anxiety. And finally, coming to sedating antihistamines. These sedating antihistamines act to reduce histamine but not selective for histamine, can also cause anticholinergic activity side effects like dizziness, headache, hypotension, urinary retention, blurred vision. This is particularly problematic for the older people because of the false risk. This can be dangerous in overdose also. And diphenhydramine and promethazine is used to cause sedation and promote sleep in patients with short-term insomnia, but it is not recommended for insomnia. This is only licensed for the symptomatic relief of cough, cold, chills, and influenza. When used in conjunction with opioids, these sedating antihistamines have some abuse potential. So pharmacists have responsibility to ensure that they do not recommend OTC treatment for sedating antihistamines inappropriately. And finally, the sleep hygiene and healthy lifestyle measures to prevent insomnia. What are the avoids or don't do measure to prevent insomnia? Or avoid exercise within 4 hours of going bed, avoid nicotine within 6 hours of bedtime, avoid alcohol within 6 hours of bedtime, avoid large meals within 2 hours of before bedtime, avoid caffeine after midday, avoid daytime napping, and avoid TV, phones, home theater in the bedroom, avoid clock watching to see how long you have been awake, turn the clock to the face other way. And what are the do's measures to prevent insomnia are doing regular moderate aerobic exercise. This helps to reduce pre-sleep anxiety, increase daytime natural light exposure, practice relaxation technique such as deep breathing, meditation, progressive muscle relaxation before bedtime. Only use bedroom for sleep sex and getting dressed. Set a regular waking and sleeping time 7 days per week and only go to bed when feeling sleepy. And finally, I am concluding this session with this King David statement in the Bible quote of Psalm 4 verses 8. King David gave this or sang this song in the midst of affliction, in darkest valley, or in insomniac problems. In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, you alone make me dwell in safety. What a true statement it is. Our Lord cares. Our Lord is calling us, come to me who are weary and carry heavy burdens. I will give you rest. So keep all our burdens, problems, including insomnia, upon Him. He will, He alone, no one else, He alone give us rest, peace and sleep. So be happy, sleep well. Thank you so much for your kind attention.